Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
My name is Nolan.
And this is Retro Recap 20, baby!
If you don't know what Retro Recap is, oh well, it sucks for you. I'm not going to tell you anything.
Maybe we should explain it for those that don't know.
Sure. Basically, every 20 or so episodes, we take a week off and hand the show over to three of our community members that always knock it out of the park. And what they're going to do is briefly give you a snapshot of each game, the last 20 episodes, and you can decide if you want to go check those episodes out, or it's just a good jumping on point if you're new to the community.
Community members Garlyle, Shawna, and Klen are joining us once again to talk about a bevy of games that began with Command & Conquer Red Alert.
Bad game.
Are you familiar with that experience? Okay. And concludes with the most recent game that we played, the Ninja Warriors.
TBD.
Yeah.
And as always, they will just agree with all of my opinions about all the games.
They probably will, actually.
I don't know. They often think we're all dumb and stupid.
Yeah. They're correct.
Can you blame them?
Enjoy as our friends talk about us talking about games.
Welcome to New Game Plus Plus, a retro gaming podcast where three fans spent 22 weeks listening to one podcast where three guys spent 7 days playing one game and then they talk about it, and then we talk about. I'm not Dustin, I'm Garlyle.
And I'm not Kenny, I'm Shawna.
I actually am Nolan still.
Oh, cool.
I think that's what I wanted.
Hi, Nolan.
I actually no. You know, on second thought, actually, I am Klen. I'm not Nolan.
Well, that wouldn't have surprised me. Nolan by name has not been showing up on the podcast recently.
No.
The guys already filled you in that this is Retro Recap 20, which is almost enough retro recaps for us to do our own retro recap. We've got a whopping 22 games on the list today with possibly more director's episodes than ever before. But before all of that, question of the week. There's tons of ways to master video games, whether it's competitive play, speed running, or even just learning a game inside and out for every detail. So if time wasn't a concern, what would you master? Shawna, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so I thought about this and I really wanted to have a different answer because I feel like everyone just thinks I play 2 video games basically. But I really would like to master The Sims 2. Bear with me, I'll tell you why. It's not just about building little houses and having little families and all of that. That's usually not the way I play that game. But there is so much lore in the Sims universe, specifically Sims 2, where all of like the base characters that come with the game, they all have these like really crazy integrated backstories, and I would really just love to know all of that information and how all of like the Sims titles like interlock with each other because of the storylines there. So that is my answer, The Sims 2.
Anytime, I think this comes up every recap. But you mentioned The Sims has lore.
It has lore,
and I'm just like, what do you mean The Sims has lore?
There's lore.
It's The Sims.
Yeah, it's not what I've associated with.
Oh my gosh.
It's a simulation game.
No.
What do you...
It's so much more than that.
Yes.
There's so...
What do you mean no? Yes.
Well, I mean it is, but there's so much more. There's so much story behind it. So all of the characters have these very intricate backstories and they're all kind of interlocked with each other. And like you're there playing your character, but if you really take the time to like dive into the characters that exist in the Sims worlds, you'll see that like, you know, there's scandals, and there's characters that just disappear, and then time travel starts happening all in the background, and you're sitting there just like, I'm gonna build my little house and I'm gonna make my little family, and there's all this other stuff that's just happening. I just want to know all of the things that's happening in the background.
All I'm hearing is Shawna needs to write a book.
I do need to write a book.
For me, I would master like Forza or like Gran Turismo, like a really involved racing game, just because like I'm not gonna do it in real life. Like I'm not gonna get in an F1 car or like Destruction Derby or anything like that. But I find it really, really fun and really entertaining, and there's a lot to know and a lot to learn. So yeah, that's my answer.
I like that answer.
Wouldn't have expected a racing game from you, but I guess that actually does kind of make sense.
There's so many things you don't know.
Yeah. For me, I think the answer is actually competitive Pokemon. Like, if you know anything about Pokemon beyond what it's like to play just single player, it's a super intricate format with like just hundreds and hundreds of variables and decisions to make, and like competitive Pokemon is super interesting, but it's also something you could really devote yourself to. And like, again, if time wasn't the issue, I would probably get into it. I don't have that much time in my day. But hey, listen, if you're not on the Discord, discord.gg/newgameplus, by the way, you should come by. We've got a whole channel dedicated to the question of the week, and I'd love to hear what other little games you'd be like, yeah, if I had infinite time, I'd sink into that. Now then, some statistics as always. This time, our oldest running game is going to be 1983's Time Pilot, but we're going all the way up to 2009. I cannot believe that this is actually like qualified for retro and the 15-year threshold that is Final Fantasy XIII.
Those are modern games.
It's insane. Like that's what is that? A 35, 36 year gap of retro games.
I don't know how time works.
Yeah, that's like 26 years, if I'm doing the math right. That's absolutely ridiculous. Do either of you know what two consoles/platforms have more than 2 games represented this time, though? Because we have quite the spread.
Mm-hmm. I think Game Boy Advance is one of them.
Surprisingly,
no.
It's actually, the PC has 5 of them, and then unexpectedly, it's the PS3 with 3 different titles this time.
I was gonna say, I thought it was PS3. Weirdly.
Yeah, I swear, like only like 2 retro recaps ago, we didn't even have PS3 games qualify. And one other fun fact is that of the 20 games that were voted on this time, a whopping 14 of them got NGP.
That's impressive.
Which host do you think was the most generous this time, and which do you think was the least generous?
I want to say... Oh, go ahead, Klen.
I know for a fact Kenny was the least generous. And I'm pretty sure that Nolan was the most.
I agree with Kenny being the least generous. And I'm going to say Dustin, but I also think he was kind of extra curmudgeon-y too this time around.
He was a massive stinker.
Yeah.
Well, you're right about Kenny for sure. While as Nolan and Dustin, the margin was just 1 game, with Nolan giving the okay to 14 and Kenny at the bottom with just 11. Now, normally, this is where I'd make the transition to the games of the week with a really bad segue. Unfortunately, in this timeline, Dustin already took the quit Stalin segue. So I propose we go back in time 10 years, start New Game Plus ourselves, and then we can talk about all the segues for ourselves, comrades, like in our retro game of the week. Command & Conquer Red Alert. It's the 1996 PC title about having changed history and just changing the shape of warfare, unfortunately, and not escaping it. This one kicked us off. It was the game that we were playing during the last retro recap, and it was a Patreon pool via Alex. And maybe the most surprising part was discovering that of the three of them, the one host that had experience with this RTS was Dustin.
Yeah.
I don't know where Kenny was, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like even I'm not an RTS kid, and I had played like at least Red Alert 2, so I'm genuinely surprised that the guys were not particularly familiar.
Yeah, especially with Kenny, because he's our RTS guy on the squad, right? I was even more shocked, spoiler alert, to hear Kenny say no to this title. Like, such a well-known game. It's almost like he's just become an aficionado of RTS, and it has to just be like the best ones now get his votes.
Yeah, Kenny has very specific requirements for his RTSs. And I remember that one did not line up with what he wanted.
Yeah, maybe it needed to lean a little harder into the camp.
Yeah.
That is true. If it was Civ 2 with the acting.
I don't know. I think that the acting on this one was really horribly good bad.
It's true. Like, they talked about it over and over. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. I sat down and watched like all the cutscenes, and then like watched through actually the follow-up games like Red Alert 2 and 3, and they really do just lean into like cheesy and over the top. The third game has like George Takei playing the Japanese emperor and Tim Curry playing the leader of the Russian faction. Like,
wait, Garlyle,
amazing.
are you saying that like Amazon Prime produced all of their cutscenes?
well, I'm kind of that quality in a way.
Mm-hmm. During the first play on this one, which of course Nolan had the first play, of course, who historically does not like RTS titles. I don't know if you guys caught this during the first play, but he unalived a dog in his first play. Yeah.
I do unfortunately remember that, and you kind of got it. Those things are vicious.
But it was so early. He's just like, oh, dog, boop, and he's gone.
Never had a chance.
Mm-mm. But I think the premise of the game was interesting. The whole time travel aspects of it. It was like kind of like Quantum Leap, I guess.
Yeah, there's some there. I kind of hope that we do revisit like one of the later games in the series at some point, because those are the ones I grew up with. But for now,
the next game we played was Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. It was a 2005 GameCube game. We love GameCube. We don't have enough GameCube titles, in my opinion. Unfortunately, it is a Fire Emblem game, which means I'm so confused and I never know what is going on when we play these games, but other people like it.
I absolutely love it.
I actually like this. And I don't usually like tactical RPG. But it's hard. This game's really difficult. So I like the beginning when it's easy and the maps are small. That's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I always considered this to be like maybe the easiest in the series, and I'm not sure if that's just like familiarity with it or what, but like this is the game that I'm always like, anytime anybody's like, hey, where should I start on Fire Emblem, I'm like, this one. It's easy. Like every character is good, no matter what Dustin tries to insist otherwise. Like, you can't really go too wrong about it. It's generally fairly straightforward. Like, just there is like the overhang of, oh yeah, this game will run you a couple $100.
What? Oh yeah, because
yeah, it's fine. That's what games cost now anyway.
That's true. I mean, look, I really appreciate a Fire Emblem game. I wish that I could get behind a tactical RPG. There's lots of things that I like about it. I like the story. I like all the playable characters. There's parts of that feel a little overwhelming to me, but it's also really, really cool that you can play so many different characters. I loved the look of this one. This one, I think, is probably my favorite. The way that like the design of it is, and the character design, probably my favorite Fire Emblem. I just wish it wasn't so hard.
One thing that was nice and that Lepidius in particular asked to shout out was the amount of just passion and like takes. Like they got a little bit heated over this game, but it was because like everybody very firmly felt like, oh yeah, I'm the master at this. I know what I'm talking about, and that's like there is nothing more Fire Emblem than that.
Our next game is Enter the Matrix. Enter the Matrix was a 2003 console and PC title. And it's based off of The Matrix. You play as
No.
a side character in the Matrix universe and explore around and just enjoy like bullet time and stuff. Basically it doesn't get better than that. At least according to Nolan.
Was that the tagline for the
Yeah,
game? Enjoy bullet time.
Pretty
It
much.
might as well have been. I think that was the only like merit that it had, but I kind of realized that week that like I remember basically nothing of the Matrix because I got into like the story with these returning characters and stuff doing a thing, and I'm like, who?
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't based off the first Matrix, right? It was based off the second Matrix.
I believe so, but it is also like canon because the directors.
That sounds right.
I think so. It's my mind blank. They were involved in like all of the plot and everything for the game, so like it's canon to the universe. It does exist like within the story of the Matrix. Basically, if you're a super fan, you have to play. So, New Game Plus by default, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have to play it? Somebody on Discord pointed out that apparently there's a bug that makes the game unfinishable on the PS2 version.
Really?
Like, literally, there's a mission you just can't beat. And so, like, when it got NGP at the end of it, I'm like, really? Really?
That's disappointing.
I mean, just don't play the PS2 version. Fine.
I'm not sure how we played this one on Dustin's first play. There definitely was a lot of like bugs with the version that he was playing. I think he had to like start and stop recording several times, reload the game. It was kind of challenging there, so I'm not sure how he was playing it, but maybe keep watch for that. But I think to like the giving the Matrix the credit it deserves, I think that, just in general it held a huge part in like our culture within like the late 90s early 2000s, right? So I agree with that. Like if you were a super fan of the Matrix, you probably were picking this one up and giving it a go and probably having fun as well. One thing that was brought up during the episode that I totally forgot that existed was that there was an MMO on the Matrix, and yeah, and I kind of wish that still was a thing.
Next up, we've got the PS1 title from 1997, Croc Legend of the Gobos, Goobos. I don't know. Take your pick of pronunciations. I don't even think the remaster trailers and all the discussion around it have settled on how that's actually pronounced. But speaking of which, the remaster has released since the guys did their episode on it. Apparently it's actually a pretty decent remaster. You can like toggle back to the original visuals at any point. It actually has non-tank controls.
That's pretty good. That's an improvement.
I think that this was a really good episode in general. We had some NGP lore come out of this one too, if you guys remember. Apparently Dustin and Nolan had a stuffed animal that was a crocodile or was named Croc.
Oh yeah.
So like that was fun. Definitely recommend listening to that episode too, just getting more early day Dustin Nolan lore. I think that I also pinned this in my notes a little bit, that this was about the timeline where I think Kenny became like extra like curmudgeon-y in a lot of his commentary. And he actually did not give this game New Game Plus, and he had a lot to say about the dialogue in it, and he was just kind of like anti-dialogue for this title. And I don't know how, because he's adorable. The Croc is super cute. I missed this game back in 1997. I thought I knew it existed, but I thought it was kind of more of a baby game, so I didn't ever play it. But seeing it now and playing it now, it was super adorable, and I really wish that I did pick it up back then and play it. Definitely gives you the Spyro vibes, which we love in general, but the podcast seems to, we just can't get Spyro right.
I love Spyro.
yeah.
I love Spyro.
I love Spyro, but Spyro at least has a personality. I do have to give it to Kenny that, like, Croc has not really much in the way of identifying features, and, like, even just at the end of the episode, Kenny's like, oh yeah, I should have named him Odile, which is, like, the most obvious secondary name for a crocodile, but also, he's right.
Yeah. I hate when Kenny's right. Next game we played is somehow a retro video game. I don't know how. The 2009 PlayStation 3 title of Final Fantasy XIII, which seems like a modern game and not retro at all. This was a Patreon pool, entered in by Brojim and Siegfried, and was the next installment, the next Final Fantasy game that we've played. And also, I'd like to note that this was probably one of the longer episodes besides our long episodes. But this was nearly an hour and a half from the guys reviewing this game.
Yeah, I'd noticed that too. Like, their episode length in general has been a little high over this last season. Like, it's usually been about an hour an episode. This one's like an episode and a half. And to be fair, it's because you got a bunch of guys who are very passionate about the game trying to head Kenny off at the pass before he can say anything too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much airtime that Final Fantasy XIII got overall, because they continued to talk about it for weeks. Like, I think the next 4 or 5 episodes, probably, it was still coming up, and they were still talking about it. And there's a whole secret episode, maybe 2. And like, there's a lot of 13 that happened. It's kind of like the new DCSS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kept them going for a bit. The funny thing is for how long they talked about it, I feel like they barely touched the game's soundtrack, too, which is one of the parts I always hear Nolan complimenting in other episodes.
True.
So just like...
Yeah, I think it was, yeah, you're right. It was a very short amount of time, and I think what they had mentioned was it was, really good soundtrack, possibly the best soundtrack ever, from a Final Fantasy title. But yeah, it was such a good episode in general. I think that's another one that you definitely should go back and listen to. The guys, with it being a longer format, were able to talk obviously a lot more about it, and just debate back and forth on different things and different topics. And at one point, they got a little silly, and Nolan had some hot takes too. So it's just a really good episode overall.
The next game is Spice World. It's a 1998 PlayStation 1 title, and it didn't get NGP.
Okay, but now say it again with more enthusiasm.
No, it's okay. Listen, I was gonna suggest that we just do a joke where we just mention it and then we just immediately go on to the next episode.
No, we have to talk about it. It's so good.
It wasn't a game.
Okay, but was it a music video game, or was it a music video game?
It wasn't a video game.
Interactive music experience, according to the CD case, not a video game.
Come on, Garlyle, you have like some stats on this, right? It's you know.
Yeah, no, I do actually have stats on this one. I polled the community, like just over Discord and stuff, a small subsection. I don't think I've ever seen a single game as unanimously voted the worst game in a set of retro recap episodes than I have Spice World. 75% thought it was the worst of the 22 games we just played.
That's not
Frankly,
high
I'm
enough.
surprised that number isn't higher.
I do have some personal notes about this game. I didn't have many notes personally about it, obviously, but I wrote in here that this game was demoralizing.
That's a good word for it.
It's so horrible. And the only thing that after coming out of that, for me, I hoped that there was somewhere, like, reach out to the podcast. We need to know you exist. Somewhere out there is somebody who got this game for like a birthday from like a distant relative that doesn't ever see them. And that little kid turned into like this really great DJ from just this experience. Like they got the bug to just go into music and they did something great, and it's because of this game. And if that could happen, then it's totally redeemable.
I will ask around to friends, and if I hear anything back, I'll let you know.
Please let me know.
Don't expect much.
Our next game is Shooty Shooty Bang Bang 4, aka Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare from 2007. The game that if you were alive in 2007, everybody around you was playing. Maybe you were playing it too. I wasn't.
No, I did not really play this game either.
I was watching it. My older brother played it a lot. And,
Yeah.
like, I lived in the same room with the time that he played it, but
Yeah, I had two roommates at that time who were both huge into it, and I was just like, that's neat.
Pew pew.
I mean, it's a good game. It's fun enough. Like, if you can get down with the FPS style, it's a good game. It's got a really good story. And this was a director episode. I don't remember if we mentioned that, but it was with Miss Muso.
Well, actually,
Dustin's 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. So that's the really interesting part, I think, about this episode is that we have directors, right? And Miss Muso, who's been on episodes has been on an episode before for what was it was a Pokemon game way back in the day.
Pokemon Ranger.
That's right.
I
Yep.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then everyone recognizes Dustin's 5 o'clock shadow from like the Patreon read at the end of every single episode. And none of us knew
One of the classics.
that Dustin's 5 o'clock shadow for all this time, probably over a year, was Miss Muso all along.
Yeah. And now you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know. And she brought. Did we ever have the giveaway for the like hats and stuff that she knitted? Because she knitted like the facial hair pieces
I don't think
that she showed off at the end of the episode.
Oh, I don't know if that ever happened.
If it didn't happen, it's not going to, because tariffing it in from Australia is not going to happen.
Yeah, not anymore, no. I did find it interesting, though, to have a director, like, even if it was a returning episode for her, she kind of met in the middle and chose a game that she'd actually never played before. And I was kind of surprised, I won't lie. I'm used to Call of Duty 4 only really, like, popping off with cis straight white men, and ostensibly none of us here are that. So
Decidedly not.
All right. The next game we played is an arcade title. It's probably the oldest game that we played in this group of games. The 1983 Time Pilot.
maybe one of the oldest games we've played on the cast end sentence. Like, we are coming up on almost 500 episodes. By the time we do the next retro recap, the show will have passed 500 episodes.
That's crazy.
But, like, how many games have we played from 1983 or earlier in that entire time?
I think
A small number.
yeah.
A lot of like Apple too, like
I remember that Ladybug game. That's an older game.
Ladybug, Frogger was older. The original the Sands of Time, whenever that one is. Prince of Persia.
Oh, and
My God, that was
Adventure.
It was that old. Yeah, there were a number of them
Adventure.
that were 70s.
Yeah, I think Adventure.
I think they were talking on this episode. That like they've played a number of games that are older than the 80s, like 70s titles. Pretty impressive, in all honesty. Like that's quite a feat. And a lot of them are actually pretty good games, like very notable titles.
Mm-hmm.
For the time and what they were, yeah. I don't know if I'll ever super get into any of them quite the way that some people can, but like
Yeah.
this one especially was the one where there was a fight basically the whole episode and among the community kind of about like whether or not the game controlled well or awfully.
Yeah. I don't know. And if we haven't mentioned it, this and if you haven't seen it or heard the episode, it's essentially an airplane shmup where
Yeah, just kind of free roaming, kind of a little bit sort of like Asteroids or similar
but
in a way.
but more like open worldy, or you have more directional versus the usual like up and down, side to side. You can actually just like fly around. I thought that was cool. Like I thought that was pretty novel because I'm so used to like that style of arcade game where you're pretty like locked in directionally. And this you could actually fly around.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the worst ones of that style, like that I've played. I've played a number of them that are open zone like that. I think that's the term that I'm gonna go with.
I like it.
And yeah, I've definitely played some that have like they've got a lot more like urgency to them, a lot more of a goal, and like I was playing one, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was at the local arcade. And you have like a main antagonist who's chasing you the entire time, and it like it's
Sinistar?
terrifying. Sinistar, yes, that's the one.
Run, I hunger.
It was fascinating. Like it was really good, and I think it just captured a little bit of what may have been missing here and in like Asteroids.
Yeah, despite that, I will say this game did get New Game Plus, and this game was actually the start of a 9-game in a row New Game Plus rating run, which is the longest streak that the show has ever had. Whether or not all the games on that list got it will be up to you to decide.
Or deserved it.
Our next game was a 1995 Game Gear title in a familiar series, some would say. It was Tails Adventure, which follows Tails Miles per Hour. And it's like a Metroid. Can I say it? Can I say that? It's a Metroidvania.
Say it.
You run around. It's more like a Zelda-like, but with platforming is what we determined in the episode. You run around, get a bunch of abilities. I think there were 26, is what they said
There was a lot.
in the episode. There was a lot.
Yeah, for a Game Gear game, it was
Very
actually a fairly
involved.
meaty game.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to measure Game Gear against because, I mean, really, who has played a whole lot of Game Gear games? Let's be real, not many of them.
Nobody. No
Okay,
one's played
one of us.
I have 2 of them in the other room.
What? I had one, but I don't know what happened to it. Like a million years ago.
There aren't enough double A's left in the world for me to play them, though.
No.
Originally.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it does kind of surprise me that this walked away with New Game Plus, mostly because I'm not used to Sonic games being like received particularly well by the cast.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. Is this a Sonic game?
Yes.
Klen?
I don't even have to think twice about that.
I would say it's Sonic adjacent.
Is it a mainline Sonic game? No, but like Sonic's done the Mario Party thing before, and that's still a Sonic game. So like this is a Sonic
It's a
game.
Sonic game. I think that parts of this game that I don't know, I wanted to love it so much, and I appreciate that it did get NGP because you're right. Sonic and Sonic adjacent titles normally don't do super great, even though many of us are huge like Genesis fans. We grew up with Sonic, like that was our character. Like we didn't have the Nintendos and like the Mario systems. Um but there was just something about this one that just like really threw me off, and like I think it's just I love Tails, so it's like it's really hard to say. It's almost like they were just trying to like make Tails a thing by giving him a bunch of abilities that like the bombs threw me because he didn't have bombs.
Local 8-year-old fox commits explosive terrorism.
Right? Like he was just a helpful little buddy, and now he's an arsonist, and I can't get behind it, and it just I don't know, it threw me off. I also wasn't like super in love with the background of the game. Like, in Sonic you start in like, what was it, Green Hill Valley or whatever it is. It's beautiful. And you get to really, see that Genesis capabilities. I get this is Game Gear, but it was like inside a cave or everything was on fire. I don't remember, but it was all very just shades of brown and red. And Tails is also brown and red and white. And I don't know. I just was so thrown off by this game and was not super into it. I wish I was more so.
Speaking of games that one could never get into, my apologies to all the Golden Sun fans in the audience. I know that Golden Sun The Lost Age is the golden child for a whole lot of people, but I feel like I just wasn't there at the time to get into it, and I come back to it now, and I'm like, man, this is fine, but I don't know why y'all are freaking out about it. My sincerest apologies to our director, Mystic, who brought it to us.
I never finished through the first one, so I didn't like. I had the same thing that Dustin had, kind of, where it was like, oh, I gotta play the second one. Didn't like, not ready for that.
But you could just read the encyclopedia that scrolls the beginning of it. There's a lot of text in this game.
That sounds horrible. I'm just gonna be real.
It was a lot. It was a lot of words. It was basically a book.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of story to tell, in theory, to the point where, like, they brought this up on the episode, but this is 2 games because, quite literally, they were developing the first and ran out of space.
And I usually like that a lot about, continuation games and things like that. I don't know. I'm kind of in the same boat with you, Garlyle. It's one of those ones that I missed the hype on it, and now I'm just like, that's a lot of stuff.
Can you imagine, like, being there playing the original game and, like, it's sending you, like, oh, you're obviously going to, like, the 4 big elemental points and you're going to have this whole, like, there's the arc of the journey, and you get to the end of the second one and it's like, okay, buy the next game. Can you just imagine?
That would be terrible. And especially if you were, like, a kid and, I think Game Boy games were, like, at least, like, $35, $40. Like, that might be a hard ask to your parents, and they're going to be like, no, you don't get that game.
I mean, it wasn't unheard of. Like, the Zelda Game Boy Color games did the same thing.
Yeah, and wasn't there like 4 of those?
The Oracle games?
Yeah.
There were only 2.
There was
Like, it was just the 2, but you needed both of them, and then you needed to enter the code to
and then of
do
course
the full ending.
all the Pokemon games where you need like all of them too.
Yeah, and then they do
at least those are like complete-ish experiences on their own.
It's true.
That is true.
And they retain their value. We can sell them now and buy houses with them. The next game we played was across many platforms, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, that era, that general population of games, was the very dramatic 2008 title Devil May Cry 4. And this one was another one that got NGP from the guys, even though it was a very dramatic game.
Dramatic or comedic. It's Devil May Cry. It'll do what it wants. But I am glad to see that, like, I remember when this game came out, right off the heels of Devil May Cry 3, too, which, like, maybe because the guys didn't play that one, but, like, DMC3 was this super in-depth, super technical, and incredibly difficult hack and slash for its time. And that had, like, revitalized the fan base, and then this game comes out, and everybody's like, wait, who the heck is this super simple Nero guy? What do you mean half this game is the first half of the game backwards? The reception to this game was kind of awful at the time, and I'm kind of glad to see people just coming into it being like, yeah, no, dog, this game's fine.
Yeah, I will say the Netflix anime that they mentioned was coming out is really good. Just fantastic, and like Nero's in it, and on it, and
That's
superb.
interesting. You're the first person I've heard say anything positive about it.
Wow, you haven't heard anything positive about it. It's like, it's so fun. It's so DMC. It's perfect.
Do you have to know the games to watch the show and understand what's happening? No?
No, just enjoy it. Like, enjoy the vibes. It's the most 2000s thing.
That's awesome.
It's much like Tony Hawk. Like, it's a vibe.
I love that.
They nailed it.
I did watch the first play for this one, and Kenny drew the straw for this game, which he should not be playing these games. And he, again, is a curmudgeon about Devil May Cry. He did not give this one New Game Plus either. And he's like evolving now 10 years later, where he turns into this kind of sassy character on his first plays. And he was talking mad mess about this game when he was playing it, and he was just, chopping it up. And it was a pretty crazy first play experience. So I definitely recommend checking that one out, because he just is a whole different person on that first play. And the one thing that I do have to say about the game is, like, this isn't just a Devil May Cry thing. This is definitely games in this, like, 2008 kind of era, where I feel like the backgrounds of games, we were able to do, like, these really intricate, beautiful backgrounds, and then the characters just don't look like they belong there. It's almost like their art style's just slightly different. The shadowing is slightly different, and they just kind of stick out like a sore thumb to me. So I get so distracted by that when I'm playing these types of games that it's just kind of ugly to me. I don't know.
Our next episode and game was a 1989 Game Boy title. Work.
I love
It's great.
Quirk.
Little tomato guy.
Was he a tomato? I thought he was a strawberry.
No, he's just a chill
I
tomato.
love him. I love this game.
I love him.
This is the best game.
It's a little puzzle game, and it's amazing.
Yeah, this was the best game that,
like,
hands down.
no, like, actually, that we don't need to say anything else.
No.
Like, it's just great. It's just a fun time.
10 out of 10.
And the episode's really good, and the guys loved it. They all voted for it. Wonderful.
It's so funny hearing this game be praised.
Why?
Just because, like, so I got a little story here, which is this game, like, somehow we keep playing weird Atlas stuff, like Trauma Center and Quirk, that, like, nobody knows Atlas for, and not their big, like, Shin Megami Tensei, like, their big headliner series. Somehow we have not played a single one of those. But most Atlas fans have actually played a bit of this, because a bunch of puzzles and the mechanics from this game are a mini game in the third Shin Megami Tensei game, literally called Puzzle Boy, its original Japanese title. And it's, like, the hardest part of a game that is renowned for its difficulty, because it's just this brutal puzzle sequence as a minigame. And just, like, it was so whiplash to get hit with this and be like, wait, I know this game.
That's so cool. So, like, Quirk is like a training ground for the mini game of that other game?
Yeah, pretty much.
So if you guys didn't out there see what this episode looked like or the game or anything, for me it definitely gave me like Zelda dungeon vibes. And keep in mind this is a Game Boy, so it's like black and white or green and black, I guess. But it definitely like gives you kind of dungeon vibes, and there are different modes that you can play this game. And Dustin put this perfectly in painted the picture perfectly for you. Like you're in the back seat of your parents' car, you're going on a long, road trip, you have no other, entertainment. And you had this game and you would just sit there and just solve mazes and puzzles. And it was just a really great little title. And the different story modes were going up, which is a story mode maze version, and I guess that would be where you would get really good at solving these puzzles. And then going out, which is the arcade version, which is like a speed based version of the mazes, and you clear room by room by room. And then there was another, I can't remember what the third one was. Multiplayer, which I guess you just held your Game Boys next to each other. I didn't even know.
I think you just took turns, maybe. Maybe it was just heading up.
Yeah.
And
because like I don't think there was a way to connect.
I don't think anyone played it. I don't think anyone tried it.
They probably just had a slot for a third thing, and they just put that there, and they're like, in the future, Game Boy will release something that you can connect them, and they just never did.
It'll be fine.
It's fine. But it's such a good title. Like, I think out of all these games, this one's probably my favorite. Unironically, my favorite title.
Next up, speaking of games that are not the main franchise for their developer and publisher, but also kind of have some importance, Wonder Boy in Monster World, the 1991 Genesis title, also known as Wonder Boy 5, Monster World 3, Maple Leafs 4. It's weird actually playing a monster, or not a Monster World, but like a Wonder Boy title in general, because this always felt like it was, obviously Sonic was like the Mario for Sega, right? But it always felt like Wonder Boy was like their other attempt to do that, with kind of like a platformer-centric series that kind of went its own little bit of direction, a little bit of Zelda woven in. And I'd never actually played a Wonder Boy title before.
I don't even remember Wonder. And I had a Sega Genesis. That was literally the only console I had growing up. I never heard of Wonder Boy.
Didn't we get, maybe not this game, but didn't we just get like a Wonder Boy title or two added to Nintendo Switch after this episode happened?
Probably.
I would believe
it. It wouldn't surprise me.
I thought I remember.
I do want to say it was really funny the entire episode how much the guys just did not want to say Metroidvania about this game. Like, it is a side-scrolling action-adventure platformer. Yes, what do you think a Metroidvania is?
Well, and also in true, one of the things that I, that stick out, obviously, is the Genesis graphics. Like, this game just looked so good, too, which is another reason why I'm surprised that more people haven't heard of it, or like I didn't hear about it growing up, because like it's just a really pretty game. All right, the next game we played is Kenny's wife's favorite game or franchise, the 1995 SNES title Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy Kong's Quest. No, Diddy Conquest? No.
Diddy's Conquest. And don't feel bad about it. I feel like that's one of those names that gives people that like Berenstein, like,
Are we even like allowed to say Diddy? Are we gonna get like demonetized on YouTube?
Well, now we are, because we dwelt on it.
Dang it.
This one was brought to us by our director Tins after so long of somehow only having ever played DK64 as a Donkey Kong game on the cast.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't like DKC. I've tried a few times and I don't like the gameplay.
Why?
It's weird and clunky way that I really don't like.
Like a
Even though it's
gorilla?
gorgeous and
You play like
Yeah,
a
like a-
gorilla. You are a gorilla. That's the clunk.
I see, like, for a platforming game, I'd rather play like Mirror, like something that feels like it responsive.
Feels like it works.
It's fine.
I mean,
I'm okay being a stinker on this game. I've accepted it. I've tried enough times. It's just not for me.
I mean, I kind of understand it. It is like, it's a very momentum heavy physics to it. Like, things are responsive, but sometimes almost too responsive in a way.
Or
and
not
like,
enough.
it can be a little bit difficult to do some of the precision that the game expects. Like, it's not an easy game, but I do think there's a lot about it. But I am going to continue to insist what I said in my commentary that DK3 is the better hashtag Oh Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
Canada.
And like they said in the episode, probably the best video game soundtrack of all time. At least like top 5.
The Donkey Kong games usually have really fun soundtracks, I think.
It's pretty insane.
Good time.
It's unfair, honestly, to everything else.
No, I'm glad that we finally did get to play a Donkey Kong Country game because yeah, like I feel like we should have representation of like all these, main players in like video games, and so I'm glad that we love it or hate it or it's not your thing. I'm not a huge Donkey Kong player either. I'm like definitely not, on my soapbox saying it's amazing. But I definitely like the representation of it on the podcast and having people be able to talk about it and then also have, people like bring it to us on a director's episode. So I'm really happy that Tins was able to finally do that for us.
And I will note that as far as the community votes went, this was the community's general favorite game and one of the ones that brought in the most total commentary maybe ever. So like, yeah, big
So a
pick.
few people like it.
Our next game, arguably a drop in quality,
What?
but not by much. Like it still got NGP. It was 2001 Game Boy Color title based off a Casper IP,
Mhm.
which is Wendy Every Which Way, where you play as Wendy the way. If you
Everyone knows
guessed
her.
that,
Yeah, everyone knows who that is.
I know who that is.
Who?
Yeah.
I never grew up around Casper, so that's just a big blank spot to me.
It's Hilary Duff, right?
I didn't grow up with DKC, so I guess like pick your battles.
Okay, fair. Yeah, this was the first time we've had a Way Forward game on the cast, I want to say.
Hopefully not the last.
Yeah, I want to say, like, generally speaking, they're a pretty well-respected developer. This fits in more with what I know, like, a lot of their less popular work to be, which is, like, it's a fine game, but it's kind of like, we took this one idea, in this case, the gravity switching, and we built as much of a game as we reasonably could about it, and then we were just done. And that, like, that's fine, but it wasn't necessarily anything too special to me.
I think they did a good job.
It does kind of bring to mind, like, it does bring to mind modern indie gaming and the way that it's like, oh, we came up with a pun for a name of a game. We're going to make the entire game that pun, and that's this game.
And that's gaming.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that this game, I think Wendy Every Which Way, I'd never heard of it before, obviously, and many of us didn't. I think it's pretty novel and kind of, it was kind of charming in a way where it's like this platformer, and I think that the gravity mechanic of it helped add some like puzzling vibes to the game, so it wasn't just necessarily like platforming. You did have to kind of figure things out and like, platform upside down. And I hadn't played a game before where the gravity was so much integrated into the gameplay where it's like that is what you had to do to be successful. So I don't know. I think for a short amount of time, it was a very cute game to play. I don't know if I had this as a kid, like if I would come back to it and play it a lot, but it's definitely worth checking out and giving it a go.
Next up is a game that's going to have me bringing a false advertising claim against the guys. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? I listened to the whole episode and they never gave me an answer. That aside, this is the 1985 Apple II classic for like edutainment, and if you were a kid growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a good chance that you played this or one of the dozens of spin-offs and successors that followed in its footsteps while you were, in class and all. And man, the existential dread from acknowledging the way the world changed during this episode. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we didn't need that.
Yeah.
I had this game at home as a kid, and I played it a lot. Actually, I don't know if it was this one or, like you said, the myriad of other titles, but they're all pretty samey. And this game definitely, like, I didn't recognize it as an edutainment game, and there definitely were edutainment games that we had that like I think there was one that taught me typing, and it was not a game, and it was not fun. But this one felt very much like a game as a kid, and not like I'm learning about world geography or anything like that. And back in the day, Unsolved Mysteries was on, so this was very similar to that, where I'm going to solve a mystery, catch a bad guy kind of thing. So I was really happy when we pulled this game and we could play it again. It was a lot of fun. All right, I'm really excited to talk about the next game, and I don't want you guys to say anything bad about it at all, because this is a nostalgia bomb for me, and we love this game. It is the 2002 PC or Xbox title. Spoiler alert, I had both versions because I love this game so much. Was the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
Isn't this the version of the game that, like, on the Xbox, it was like so RAM intensive on the system that it like secretly reboots your entire system on the load screen sometimes in order to clear memory?
Garlyle,
was that this one?
We're not going to talk about how unplayable this game was on the Xbox. Just talk about other stuff.
Is there maybe a reason you had
I just really
you got the
so I had the PC version first, and to be transparent, I believe I got the Xbox version either like super cheap or like free, basically. So I didn't buy the Xbox version, but I did have both. And I primarily played it on the PC. So, the Xbox one, I think was not for a console, but I did love the game otherwise. It was, I think, probably my first introduction to like that open world, concept of gaming. It was definitely like one of those games that kind of opens your eyes to a new genre, I guess. I don't know. I was really, really into this game, and I don't think I was really good at it. I definitely just played it for hours, and looking back on how I played this game, I definitely did not follow the storyline, and I think all I really ended up doing was being a thief and stealing everything and selling it.
I mean,
that sounds right.
That's the Elder Scrolls. Yeah. That's how you play it.
I figured, like, it came very naturally that way to me. And when this game was pulled, I was super excited, obviously. But then diving back into it, it's like, oh, it's so clunky. Oh, the hit boxes, or the battle screens are you even hitting the worm? I don't know. And I'm like, I forgot how bad all of that was. And
Listen, this game aged like my bones, okay?
Our next game was the end of the New Game Plus streak. And what a harsh end
I can't
it was,
believe
too. It was a good run. It was a good run. We went a while. We had some good games, even. This was a 1996 Neo Geo title.
was this our first Neo
Twinkle's-
Geo? Oh, sorry.
First one I can think of.
Right?
Unless we're counting like Metal Slug, maybe?
I don't think we've played Metal Slug, though, have we? Maybe one.
We played one of them, like, I think before even I joined
Yeah,
the
like a
cast. we
long
did.
time ago.
Yeah, I think it was really early.
Crazy.
But anyway, this was Twinkle Star Sprites. It, shmup bullet hell thing. I think
bullet hell thing.
Garlyle probably has more input on this game than I do.
Yeah, this is the extremely rare variant of shmup, which is a competitive shmup, where you and another player are basically playing your own individual match, like your own shooting down things, but you're also firing at your opponents at the same time as a result of your actions. And like, this is, first off, if that sounds like nothing you've ever heard of before, correct. I've maybe encountered like 3 or 4 games that have ever done that formula, and I'd never actually gone back to play the original Twinkle Star Sprites, and like, this is now maybe one of my favorites in the entire genre. I love this game so much, and I'm so heartbroken that this did not get New Game Plus and broke the streak.
I thought about you immediately when we saw this game. Also, to that credit of it breaking the streak too. I don't think this game was bad. I think it was hard and not
Correct.
like everybody's cup of tea, but I don't think it was deserving of a no, like across the board. But I did think about you immediately when we pulled this title. I wanted to know, because you're a huge fan of Perfect Cherry Blossom. So like, how does this compare to that?
Funnily enough, there is like 3 games now in the Toho franchise that are also like directly inspired by Twinkle Star Sprites and even use a lot of the mechanics and stuff. And so it was really interesting going back and being like, oh, the original actually does do it better. Okay.
Nice. I really liked the I mean, I didn't like any of the bullet hell parts of it. Definitely was way too fast for my slow game, cozy game brain. But I did like the anime style that this game was in. It was very like reminiscent of Sailor Moon, which is like my favorite like anime kind of look. So seeing that was kind of fun. It was just a really cute game. Like their interactions were really adorable, and I don't know, it was very anime and it was adorable.
They even were translated as awfully as you'd expect of an anime at the
It
time.
was really cute.
But that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of late 90s anime series, I don't know about all of you, but I kind of grew up with Inuyasha in the background of my life. And so I was kind of surprised to find out there was apparently a 2007 Nintendo DS RPG, Inuyasha, Secret of the Divine Jewel. After playing it, I kind of find out why nobody really talked that much about it.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting lore about Inuyasha shared on the podcast, because like the anime was done in 2003, and it was just the manga that was still going till 2008. So this followed, I think, more of that story, but also was like self-insert. It was kind of weird. It wasn't necessarily like good, but it certainly existed, and it was like way after the show. I think they were probably trying to.
Yeah, to some degree. Though I will say, like, given that Inuyasha was like, these days we have the anime genre at the moment is like isekai stuff like this. Though it's generally like, oh yeah, dude gets pulled from like modern Japan into whatever fantasy world, has like all the girls flocking to him and all the superpowers and stuff. Inuyasha was doing that for women like 20 years ago, absolutely ahead of the curve. And so having a story where you have like this completely new self-insert character come into the story, I said it in my commentary, but I'm surprised they didn't just let you name her, because I feel like that would have been the perfect hook for people at the time of like, yeah, go on your own magical Inuyasha adventure and be the super special cool girl.
No, Janice gets to be the special cool girl.
Yeah, nobody cares about Janice.
Yeah, I totally did not feel bad for Janice. It was like first world problems. Like she starts the whole game with like, oh, I live in a mansion and now I have to go live in Japan. Poor me. And I'm just like, Janice, get out of here. No one cares about your problems, Janice. All right, the next game we played was another director's episode, this time coming to us from Sasser, who's been a part of our community for a very long time. Shout out to Sasser. Sasser brought us the Nintendo 64 title, which I think, is this the first Nintendo 64 title we've had this round of games?
This batch, it's the only one.
So super special from 1997, a great year for games. We got Blast Corpse, not corpse like the dead body, but corpse like a corpse.
I think it's just Blast Core.
Or
I don't know. There was some discussion on the episode too about whether CORPS is said core or corpse.
there's no period
It's
at
fine.
the end.
Just call it whatever you want. Call it whatever.
So
Yeah. This was a Rare title,
it
like
was-
developed by Rare Software. Throws me off every time I think about it, because like I thought I knew all of those on 64 and I could not recall this game existed.
no.
I think it was like, I almost want to say this was like either launch or like super early N64, but like it got completely overshadowed by like GoldenEye and Super Mario 64 at the start. So it kind of ended up sinking into like that second fiddle tier of Rare games that like everybody knows Banjo-Kazooie and stuff, but people don't talk as much about like Jet Force Gemini or this. And that's kind of a shame, because this game's actually kind of neat.
Mhm.
I kind of had fun with it.
Yeah, and supposedly well, not supposedly, but Kenny is the only one that agrees that it's kind of neat. I don't know, I got like lots of different vibes or different influences of this game. Like and on the episode we mentioned it's like kind of like Katamari Damacy a little bit. I was feeling also like a little bit like Crazy Taxi, like that kind of energy of having to like go fast and like do stuff. I don't know. It was definitely like a novel game, and I was so hopeful that we would have a vehicular game that's not like a racing title get NGP. I thought this one was going to do it.
This game was a 2002 EA title from a little known. What? Weirdly enough, it was the third game in the series, even though it's Klonoa 2. Can't believe I
Gets
said that
weirder than
correctly.
Yeah, it's weirder than that because it's like the third game in like the portable Klonoa series. It's actually like the fifth Klonoa game overall. I don't know what they were doing with their numbering scheme.
So they're hanging out with the Wonder Boy people.
It all works out. It all works out.
I just want to say, we were talking earlier about like Croc and Spyro and stuff. I cannot believe how much they hated on my wahooing, traumatized son, Klonoa. Leave him alone.
I felt bad because like this whole time I thought he was a skunk. I didn't know that he was like not a skunk until this week that we played.
Nah, he's just like a rabbit dog dude.
Rabbit. Well, why is he skunk colored?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, he's skunk shaped, and he friend.
Yeah, Klonoa is a pretty good platformer though. Like if you haven't heard of it and you haven't played it, it is totally worth checking out.
Yeah, it's really cute. Although I did have a
Oh no.
little moment with this one where parts of it that I liked is that it feels like a puzzle platformer. You know, you're like solving puzzles and using your environment to get around the platforms and stuff. But then I got kind of the Kirby vibe from him, and then I started thinking like much like how I think that Kirby's a secret bad guy, that Klonoa also kind of is a secret bad guy because he's going through and taking these adorable little creatures and essentially, making them disappear so he can get through the forest and do stuff. And I don't know, I got the vibe. I got the Kirby vibe, guys, and I'm not a huge Kirby fan.
That's a you problem,
Okay,
not me.
stop being a Kirby defender. He's a bad guy.
Why would I look? Look at him. Look at him. He's on the video.
He's a murderer.
Look at him.
Murderer.
He's cute.
He's a murderer.
He's cute.
Mhm.
He's pink and he's
That's
cute.
what they want you to think. They probably thought Dahmer was cute too.
Wrapping up our games for this retro recap will come 1994's The Ninja Warriors, featuring what I think is probably my favorite transition that Dustin's done. And he had some bangers this set, but like coming out with the Sis Brothers and Transistors in Pride Month,
Thank you.
like thumbs up.
Thank you. Yeah.
Completely unrelatedly, why does this game apparently cost $2,000 brand new?
Is it the cabinet version?
No.
No, it's the SNES
Did
cartridge.
Did they dig it out of the ET pile that's buried in the desert somewhere? That's probably why.
It could be, but like it didn't deserve to be there. Like this game was great.
It was a mistake. They mistakenly put it there. No, this game is great.
It was super fun. You got 3 different characters to choose from and play through as, all like super different. And like just great. It's like classic side-scrolling fighter, like a Mortal Kombat meets Rage. It's great.
Yeah.
I had a really good time with it. Really overwhelmed by like the lane and the 3D space. A lot of these. And taking that away, just like it made it so it. There's also a remake of this game that came.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and it added another 2 brand new characters on top of like just making it accessible. And I heard it was really good. I think Super Guy mentioned playing it. Good. No, he posted like a link to.
Yeah, Super's been playing like a ton of beat 'em ups too over the past few years, and was saying it's one of his like top 10-ish. So like, I don't quite feel it, but I definitely don't have the breadth of beat 'em up familiarity, and like I will absolutely still take this getting NGP over something like Death and Return of Superman, because I'm not letting the guys live that one down.
I can definitely see like how this one did get NGP and how Super really likes this one too. I don't know. I like the look of this one. I was a huge Streets of Rage player. As a kid, like I think it came on one of those carts that had like a bunch of games on it, and I was always gravitated to that one. So it definitely had that vibe, and but it's so polished looking. I just love how the graphics on this game look, and the storyline behind it's really interesting. We talked a little bit about the other game of where you find out that these aren't people, they're androids, and that part is like really cool and interesting. But yeah, this game is a really good beat 'em up, and like I'm not usually drawn to them like Klen, and I do find them a little overwhelming, especially when they start like surging. But this one is a really good representation of that genre.
All right, and that brings us to the close of this retro recap. But that doesn't mean we have to stop talking just yet, because I got a couple of the usual questions for you. I'm curious to know what your favorite game to play along with this time was. Start with you, Sean.
I think I probably spoiled my question already earlier in the episode, but my favorite was Quirk. I think that it definitely is an easy to pick up game that you can play just a little bit here and there, or you can sit for like a longer period of time and play. So that one definitely was my favorite.
Can I just answer the same? Is that legal? Because like Quirk, I love Quirk.
Yeah,
It's so cute.
that's fair if that's your answer.
I also really loved Call of Duty 4. Like it's very nostalgic for me. I grew up with tons of Medal of Honor, like other military shooters. So it kind of felt like coming home, which was really nice.
That's really nice. Do you have like good memories from like with your brother playing?
Yeah, I did a lot. I did some like co-op campaigns and stuff. Some of those games with other on the PS2 growing up. So
That's so sweet.
it was great. It was nice. Yeah, it really brought me back.
I love that. And that's why we do retro
Yeah,
games.
For me, it was Twinkle Star Sprites. Like, even though I love like Path of Radiance and stuff like that, I already knew I loved them. Coming back and seeing fighting game developers actually build like a competitive shmup was like, oh, okay, there's something in the flow here that they get that I don't think anybody else has gotten since, and I love it. I was going to ask what the least favorite game out of this batch was for people, but like, I'll be genuinely surprised if either of you want to answer anything other than Spice World.
Spice World is my answer.
I would be concerned for your sanity if you said anything else.
I want to come back. I want to come back to the episodes in the future, so I'm going to go ahead and agree that Spice World is horrible.
And I will ask what your favorite episode is. I'll take the first one on this and just say that I love the FF13 episode because I'm in the thick of it with Final Fantasy fans, and it is so nice to hear people just actually enjoy that game for once. For those of you who have the video version, I'm sitting here in Snow's outfit in Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I like Final Fantasy XIII a lot. It made me happy.
Oh, that's sweet. I think my favorite episode was the one with Miss Muso for Call of Duty 4. I think that game aside, like I think that that was just a really awesome episode. Also a director's episode. I love when we have directors come, and those are people, you know, obviously who go above and beyond to support our show. And just like finding out that, you know, Dustin's 5 o'clock shadow was Miss Muso all along was such fun drama for us. And I thinking back, I had like this moment where I was like, and this is like old NGP lore. Is Miss Muso also Secret Man from way back in the day?
That is some really, really old Patreon exclusive information. Wow.
We've been a part of this community a long time.
I haven't thought about Secret Man in years.
We've been here so long. We didn't even introduce ourselves as far as like, how do you know us? Like, we're just here.
Yep.
We are NGP.
Yes, we are the real NGP.
Inseparable. I have officially been listening and playing along to NGP for over half of the life of the podcast.
Same.
Because that's how time works.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Makes me feel like I've been here so long. It's been 5 years.
Yeah, we're coming up on 6 years for me as well. Like it's been a long trek. And like I said earlier, by the time we come around to this again, it'll have been 10 years of the podcast in total.
That's crazy.
But yeah, anyway, my favorite episode was Enter the Matrix. Because The Matrix, I love it. And I kind of love it for the same reason I like the Carmen Sandiego. Just like the guys having so much history with it, and like there's so much to talk about outside of the game about it, like stuff in the episode, and it all comes like pop culture reference. It's just really good. And Nolan got really salty, especially at Dustin. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, those are the best episodes. I agree.
Well, hopefully we'll have a lot of fun episodes to talk about, because if you did, it's the summer pool party!
Pool party!
And for once, we're not here talking about it at the end of the pool party. We're here at the beginning. And like, hey, I'm just going to plug it right now. If you're not already, go to patreon.com/NGP podcast. Sign up now. Even if you only do it for like a couple months, like that's okay. This is the time to do it. We are doing Patreon pool, producer pool, Patreon pool, producer pool for the next few weeks. Plus, you can access all the bonus content that's come out in that time. There's been the expansion packs, which are literally like community-run live episodes with the guys. If you've been curious, there was a full secret episode that's an Expedition 33 review you can go listen to, like Dustin and Nolan talking about what's become many people's game of the year. Like, there's all kinds of cool stuff. But for the moment, we're kicking it off by playing Tony Hawk's Underground. Are you guys excited for that?
Very excited.
I'm so excited. Underground is like one of my favorite, I would call it 2000s-esque games. Just with like the grunge and the soundtrack and the vibe. Like, it's Hot Topic to a T, and I love it.
Yeah, I think that Tony Hawk's Underground like jumped out of the realm of video games and really in its own became a subculture of the early 2000s too. Like, even if you didn't play video games, even if you weren't a skater, you knew the Tony Hawk, pro skater world of games, and you knew Tony Hawk's Underground. So go ahead and skip Kenny's first play on it. It does not do the game justice at all. Don't listen to Kenny.
I was going to say, I've had the community voting on what they think people will give it. There's a pretty firm expectation that Dustin and Nolan are going to love it. Kenny was very like, I don't know, until that first play came out, and then the votes started saying, no, Kenny's not going to love it.
Kenny's not good at sports.
So we'll see how that goes.
Unless it's Bass Pro Fit Bassin. What is it? Bassin and Bass Pro.
Bassin's Black Bass.
Bassin's Black Bass.
With Hank Parker.
Yes. Kenny's not good with sports unless it's.
How could you forget that?
It's our favorite game.
Well, with that said, I guess we're pretty much done with our time here, but like, just because we won't be back for another half a year, that doesn't mean that you can't come hang out with us. All you have to do is come to discord.gg/newgameplus, and you can come hang out with us and all the other incredibly wonderful people who are there. You are welcome to come join people like myself and Shane and Conan who have been playing along every single week, or you can just like come chat about whatever retro finds you pick up at the game store, or celebrate the things that you've done in gaming recently, or like whatever your fancy. Really, you'll be welcome. You're also going to be among some great company. Our many, many producers. Megan A. Flombus, myself, Alex, Harold, Hey Brother, J. Robert, Jake, Jordan, Justin, Klen, Lepidius Landris, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Radmax, Sajin, Scotty, Shane, Shawna, Snake Maddox, Benny the Jet, Stephen Fox, Super Hypered, Swaggy Taco Fish, Psycho Mantis, Thomas Unbelievable, and Zion. I absolutely cannot believe that Kenny can do all of that in one breath. That's not happening at this point. Big thanks to Dan Willett for editing the vocal cast, and Dylan for the video cast, and Dave for continuing to give us thumbnails like Magical Girl Dustin and the concerning amalgam of Croc and Nolan. If you want more of the guys, you know the drill. Make sure you're subscribed on your podcast platform of choice. The regular host will be back next time with Tony Hawk's Underground and the continuation of the summer pool party. Until next Retro Recap, I've been Not Dustin.
I've been Not Kenny.
Chad Muska, baby.
And this has been New Game Plus.